it's Confessions of a Doctorholic with Hafsa Slayman, and today I've got a special guest on air. We went to the same med school, she did placements in Cyprus, but she got pregnant. And now finally, here is Dr. Zara Tony. Hello.
Hello. It's still so weird hearing that, but hi.
I was just going to ask, what's it like to be finally called a doctor?
So strange. It's surreal. It doesn't feel real, especially with COVID as well, and all the drama that was happening with our exams and everything up in the air.
I feel like you managed to balance personal life with med school. When did you get married?
So I got married in 2016, and this was actually after the first 2 years of med school, and then I took 2 years off after this.
And why did you take an interruption of studies?
For money, I had to take time off to work. You know how expensive our medical school is, and the reality is that I just could not afford after my scholarship ended.
Wow, I didn't even know about that. And then what happened? When did you get pregnant? I just remember you saying, by the way, I'm going to be a mum.
By the way, there's a bun in the oven. Yeah, it was at the end of third year, so around summertime. I actually found out I was pregnant a month before our exams, our third year exams, those horrible P-year exams that you've got coming.
Thanks. So not looking forward to that. And how did you feel?
I was excited. I was shocked. I don't know why I was shocked, because we all know how a baby is made. 2 and 2 together, that's what happens. You get another one. And just thankful, because I know not everyone can become a mum, and I just felt really blessed.
And how did your med school experiences change during pregnancy compared to pre-pregnancy?
When I think back to the exams that we had, I couldn't study as hard as I wanted to. So before, I was, you know how it is in medical school, you're up till late at night preparing for PBL and then going to PBL maybe on no night's sleep. I couldn't do that sort of stuff when I was pregnant. So I had to just be really frugal with my time and manage it really well, because I couldn't stay up drinking coffee late at night. You know, first trimester, you're not really meant to do those sort of things. So
I didn't even think about coffee at all. What were your rotations like? Did anyone give you funny looks?
When I first found out I was pregnant, I wasn't showing. So I went back home for, how long was it? I think it was about 3 months, because we had summer and our SSC as well. So when I came back, I had a little bump, but I still looked, you could kind of think that maybe I just eaten too much that day, too much souvla. People didn't really notice unless I was wearing something tight, but I definitely, you know how it is in Cyprus. I got comments from doctors, negative and positive comments, and from patients, negative and positive. And people, I don't know what it is about being pregnant, but people feel that they can comment on how you look, what you're doing. They feel that they can touch your body just because you've got a bump.
Oh my God, you must have felt so violated. That's wild. What kind of comments did you receive?
I think first one that springs to mind was about gender. So I had a little boy, and I remember I had so many comments saying how amazing it is that I'm having a boy and boys are better, and that I've done well, and congratulations, as if having a girl is lesser or insignificant. I don't know if it's a culture thing, but I just had so many comments that were, I guess, a bit sexist.
Oh wow. And how did you respond to that?
Well, when it was from patients, I kind of just shrugged it off. But when doctors said it, I kind of pushed back a bit, as if to say, what's wrong with having a girl? Why can't you have a girl? And they just responded as boys are better. I remember them just clearly saying boys are better. And I was just taken aback. How can you just say that so openly and with so much conviction, as if you're actually right?
I have no idea how you dealt with that. That would have made the rotations 10 times harder.
Yeah, there's a whole other side. There's a whole other side to it, especially with being a medical student as well, the whole lifestyle aspect. I got a lot of questions about how I'm going to juggle having a baby and being a doctor. I don't know if male medical students or male doctors get that question.
That's an interesting question. I feel like it's more obvious physically if a woman is pregnant compared to a man. How else has your lifestyle changed when you were pregnant?
I had to take things a lot slower. I remember I really felt heavy. I remember week 35 when I was on an A&E rotation, and I was the sort of student that would always want to stay late. I'd want to get involved in every procedure. I'd want to do everything. I'd want to scrub in for every surgery. I'd want to be really, really involved. And I don't know if it was just pregnancy, because there were so many other things going on for me at that time as well. But mainly pregnancy, I was exhausted. So I just was not as involved in my placements.
Did you feel like that affected you in any way? Like your future?
I felt that it did affect how doctors viewed me. It was weird because, so let me just say that I kind of went into this not expecting any special treatment. It was me that got pregnant and it's me that's got to deal with it. So I wasn't expecting anything from anyone. Exactly. But some doctors were really receptive and kind towards me. Like in theatre, if I was in theatre, they would always bring me a chair so that I didn't have to stand, and on anaesthetics, they did that as well. But sometimes there was, that sort of negative air in the room when I'd be there, as if I shouldn't be there, just to go home, blah, blah, blah. Like I got a lot of that as well. So maybe they just thought that I was either not interested or just couldn't hack it.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge during this entire period?
Biggest challenge? Well, surprisingly, it wasn't motivation. I was very motivated at that time because I thought, I have to get through medical school because I have a child that I need to feed at the end of this. I need to get a job. So it wasn't motivation, but I guess the biggest challenge, being away from my husband during the most life-changing thing that I ever experienced. So being in Cyprus, my husband 4.5 hours away in the UK, the emotional support, the physical support. I remember that I just, this sounds very trivial and very silly, but it's a big thing when you're pregnant. I could not get down to my feet.
Speaking of, I was going to ask, can you see your toes? I saw this on The Simpsons and I just have to know.
No, the first thing that you don't see is your lady parts. That's the first thing you miss, and then it's your feet. I remember after I had him, I was like, oh my gosh, I can see my vajay again. What the heck? Forgot what that looked like. But I remember in those last week when I couldn't reach my feet because of this massive bowling ball there, I just didn't wear socks for the longest time in winter in Cyprus. I would just always wear either open-toe shoes or slip-on shoes.
Did you get any intense cravings? I don't know how real this story is, but one of my friends said when his aunt was pregnant, she just wanted a pet camel.
At the beginning, I craved fruit, like just cold fruit, which was a nice craving to have. I couldn't eat much at the beginning. I remember sucking on ginger, like candied ginger. It was covered in sugar and I would just like suck on that. And I remember being on placements having that. And you have an insatiable thirst when you're pregnant. Like there's like no amount of water to be able to quench this thirst that you get like straight from the outset. So I was just drinking gallons of water, and I used to infuse that with like lemon and ginger. Yeah, there were no real mad cravings.
You know, we learn about pregnancy in med school. Did that freak you out at all? Because of all the things you know, all the things that can go wrong?
Yes, I think what made me worry the most was knowing that so many things can go wrong at different stages. So I knew like what week the brain was developing and what week XYZ was developing, and what could happen at different stages, and all the different chromosomal abnormalities that you don't get ruled out until quite late on. So yeah, I think all the anxiety that an average woman has to deal with is even worse.
You know what they say, ignorance is bliss.
Definitely.
If you were to advise me to get pregnant, when is the best time for that? And guys, don't get any ideas. Not planning to do that anytime soon.
Yeah, teaching skills to you guys. I've actually had that question a lot from quite a few ladies, students, just asking me when's the best time. And there were a couple of students that already have a child and asked me when the best time is to have their second child. And I, again, would say either T-year, final year, purely because the years are so short.
Okay.
Back when I did T-year, it starts in August, I think, and then you finish by April. So if you time it right, you can have your baby in summer and then come back for P-year. You don't even have to take time off. And final year, you finish in May, and then you can either start F1 in August if you're coming to the UK, or you can just take a maternity year like I'm doing.
And how's your maternity year off so far?
At the beginning, it was so strange after being on 110% for exams to come back and then just be mum, focusing on being mum. It's been a very welcomed change. Like, I love looking after my son, and I love how he challenges me every single day and night, and he definitely keeps me on my toes. And yeah, I'm just filled with so much love for him, and just being rewarded by a smile now that he's older.
Any advice for pregnant mums in med school?
Well, being pregnant in medical school, I don't think is too much different from being pregnant while working. Unfortunately, if you're abroad, that's the only more difficult aspect, I would say. I think it's even easier being in med school pregnant because you don't actually have responsibility. Whereas when you're a doctor working, you have to come in with your morning sickness and all the other different aches and pains that go along with pregnancy. So if you're in a relationship and want to have a baby and you're in medical school, I would say just go for it and do it. It was, I think, the best decision for us to do it then, because now one's out of the way and I'll start working.
That's amazing. Are you nervous about going to work with a kid?
I am. I'm not going to lie. I know it's not going to be a walk in the park, but I think if you've got a supportive partner who understands what being a doctor is and all the different responsibilities and crazy schedules we have, you'll be fine. You'll work through it together. It'll be a challenge.
Sweet. So if we want to follow you, where can we do that?
So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Faith Travel Medicine. It's got all kind of videos to do with medical school on there, and I've documented my pregnancy on there as well, and how it was being in Cyprus away from my family and everything. So you can follow me on there, and I'm on Instagram as well as Zara_Abigail. So yeah,